English writer Mary Wollstonecraft advocated for women's equality. Social equality was Wollstonecraft's main passion. She was a philosopher, women's rights activist, scholar, educator, and journalist. Her book, A Vindication of the Rights of Women, pressed for educational reforms. Wollstonecraft was born on April 27, 1759, in a London town called Spitalfields. Her father had somewhat of a fortune and spent it all on an unsuccessful venture in farming. He was very abusive towards Wollstonecraft, and between the abuse and her mother's death in 1780, she set out to earn her own living. Along with Wollstonecraft, her sister Mary and her best friend Fanny started a school in Newington Green. Through Wollstonecraft's experiences from teaching, she wrote the pamphlet Thoughts on the Education of Daughters in 1787. When her best friend Fanny died in the year of 1785, Wollstonecraft took a position as governess for the Kingsborough family in Ireland. She spent her time there mourning and recovering over the loss of her friend. After a while, she came to the realization that she was not meant for domestic work. She then returned to London and became Joseph Johnson's translator and advisor. He was a noted publisher for radical texts. In 1788, Mary became a regular contributor when Johnson launched the Analytical Review. 4 years later is when she wrote her most famous work, A Vindication of the Rights of Women. In this piece, the reader can tell that Wollstonecraft does not like the notions that women are helpless and are meant solely for the purpose of staying at home. Instead, she talks about how society breeds, quote, gentle domestic brutes, end quote, and that a confined existence makes women frustrated and transforms them into tyrants over their children and servants. Wollstonecraft wrote that the key is educational reform. She wanted women to have the same educational opportunities as men had. Through this, women may also be capable workers in many professions, along with being exceptional wives and mothers as well. Because of such ideas, it caused tremendous controversy. Wollstonecraft also believed that women had strong sexual desires and that it was degrading to women and also immoral to pretend otherwise. She left England to observe the French Revolution. Wollstonecraft stayed with some friends in Paris, France, and through them she met a man named Captain Gilbert Imlay. Imlay was an American adventurer and timber merchant. They were fascinated by each other, and soon enough Wollstonecraft became pregnant with Imlay's child. Her baby was born in the spring of 1794, and she named her after her friend Fanny. While nursing Fanny, Wollstonecraft wrote a critique over the French Revolution in her piece titled A Historical and Moral View of the Origin and Progress of the French Revolution. Her most popular book was written in the 1970s after their travels to Scandinavia. It was titled Letters Written During a Short Residence in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. After Imlay and Wollstonecraft's travels, Imlay left her. She eventually recovered after finding a new hope in a relationship with William Godwin. Godwin was the founder of philosophical anarchism. Neither of them wanted to get married, but they ended up getting married after Wollstonecraft became pregnant with their child. Their child was born in 1797. They named her Mary. 11 days after giving birth to Mary, Wollstonecraft died on September 10th, 1797, in London due to complications during the childbirth. Some scholars say the death was caused by blood poisoning. Godwin continued his career as political thinker, writer, and liberal maverick, and raised their daughter Mary in a progressive and education-focused environment. At age 16, she eloped with the poet Percy Shelley. A few years later, she produced one of the classics of Western literature, Frankenstein. At first, Wollstonecraft's writings were looked down upon. People were looking more at her life scandals than her philosophical works. Then all of a sudden, in the 1900s, her writings sparked interest in people. Her image was actually projected onto the Palace of Westminster to raise support for permanent statue of the author.